What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Fighting's Final here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. I'm Big Al. I get to hang out with you solo today. Matty B could not make it, but that's okay. He tapped me on the shoulder, and I will handle it for you. Phillies lose their first game of the season, 5-1. The Nationals going 2-1 on the season. In the season opening series for the Philadelphia Phillies in the 2025 season. They are now 2-1. Second in the NL East, I think, at this point, if you really care about that at this moment. But kind of a tale of some of the old stuff that we've worried about. It's baseball. I know I'm going to say that. I'm going to get yelled at for using that term, but there's going to be good games, there's going to be bad games. It's the third game. I'm not going to freak out, but a lot of the old stuff creeped in today that made things a little annoying or uneasy. The batters had opportunities with runners on base, could just never string enough hits together to get anybody across the base until the end of the across the plate until the end of the game. And Aaron Nola, just that Aaron Nola moment, you know what I mean? It's cruising through 3 1/3 innings or whatever it is, just cruising, and has an Aaron Nola type situation. If you always could take this one inning out of every Aaron Nola game, he would be like the best pitcher of the Phillies of all time. It's just he has these innings, and they're silly, and we'll get into that in a moment. I want to touch on a couple of these comments there. Wherever you are, Beer Man, I just need evidence that something has changed. I know we're all looking for change, and listen, change is going to be slow and arduous, unfortunately, in these situations. But listen, some of the things I've seen, and I don't know if we can, I don't know if this was already in the books or the Trey Turner back spasm things occurred and allows them to kind of put Kyle Schwarber at leadoff. But it's, like I said, a lot of the old stuff creeped in today. And then that's kind of what is making people nervous. So let's talk about Aaron Nola for a minute. 3 1/3 innings, like I said, he was running, but before he let up had one base runner in the first 3 innings with a single. He gets to the 4th inning. He strikes out the first guy. He calls the other guy to ground out the second. And then this skin of your teeth hit by pitch. The ball bounces in the dirt, hits the guy in the toe. He's on first base. And then it's like the typical moment, like the typical Aaron Nola. We've all talked about it, like this breakdown inning, or just this inning where the long ball becomes an issue, or this inning where just problems pile on top of problems, and you have Aaron Nola type issues. And then here you go, 4th inning. Like I said, strikeout, gets the guy ground out to second, 2 outs. Okay, things seem like he's cruising. Like hits the guy to pitch, skin of the teeth, it's on first. Then he allows a single. And then Josh Bell, who's kind of a Phillies killer in his career, 3-run home run. That long ball. A couple pitches, if you take a couple pitches, not even innings off of Aaron Nola's career, it would be like phenomenal. Probably one of the best careers of all time. If you just took a couple innings, a couple pitches off of his career, his numbers drastically change. And then there it was. 3-run hit, 3-run homer, 3-0. Lets up a double the next hitter, but strikes out the last batter, gets out. 3 runs. So on top of it now, maybe it's in between the ears at this point. I have that moment, but no run support doesn't help the situation. They left 10 runners on base. They were 0 for 9 in runners in scoring position. That's the problems we were talking about. You saw a lot of plate discipline from guys who needed plate discipline, like Nick Castellanos. I mean, he he came into this third game of the season, and again, small sample size, with 3 walks already. 4 walks if you had the one today. There's some better plate discipline. Johan Rojas, we saw him, short time. He had a couple of moments, he chance to hit the ball. He had a nice single in the second, but then he grounded out in the 4th, but he flew out to left field in the 7th. And I'm a big Johan Rojas supporter, but the guy's struggling to get a guy on first base. you have the guy who's coming to the end of his pitching. He's at 92, 93, 94 pitches, and then boom, you just swing at the first. You don't work the pitcher at all. You swing at the first thing in line, and you fly right out. This is a little lollipop out, blooper out into not blooper because I didn't land. Little lollipop, pop ball into left field, and then there you go. Like you take away from it, and on top of it, Marchand's single. So like if he just worked the batter, even if he got out, but if he worked the pitches, it could have been a different inning. Like those are the little things that we need. Those are the changes that we need to see. This philosophy changes. Like where was Tomper saying like, hey, work the batter? Now listen, Tomper's not at the plate. He might have said this. I don't know. I'm not blaming him, but hey, work the pitcher. Just don't go out there and swing wildly. Like we saw him do it before, and he was doing it, and then he got into his bad habits again. And that's just, it's going to take time for these bad habits to break. I mean, they're not going to break all in one day, but these are the kind of moments that we're going to pay, that's going to cost us dearly. So, I mean, it's the tale of two innings for Aaron Nola, which we'll talk about more because he let up 2 home runs for 5 runs altogether. And, here's your 5. It's a 5-1 game. The one run that the Phillies got was, in the 9th inning, they threatened a little bit. Like first base, you got Edmundo Sosa hit a single, but was able to eke it to second base on an error. Then 2 walks in a row, switch batters. Finnegan comes in, and a fielder's choice luckily didn't turn into a double play, but allowed Sosa to score. Marchand's on first, and Rojas is on second. I'm sorry, not Rojas. Marsh is on third. But then strikeout, Kyle Schwarber, and it's a quick line out, end the game, Alec Bohm. So that one's kind of garbage time. They were seceding the run just to get the out. But these are some of the irky, annoying things that we saw from last year that really upset people, So let's hit some of these comments here. Nooms is back. I'm not even angry with the Bell home run. It's the other home run. So let's break that down. Let's talk about that for a second. First batter flies out to center field. Then it's a single. Then it's a 2-run home run from Nathaniel Lowe. What makes that so annoying is you could tell it was in between his ears at that point. Like he has these breakdown moments. He gets in his head a little bit. Aaron Nola can sometimes erase the pain of what just happened, but there's times he can't. And this is regular season Aaron Nola. Like, luckily he doesn't do this too often in the postseason. He has, don't get me wrong, but as of the last couple of years, he hasn't done it as much, but he does have these moments. Again, first outing, I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to tell you Aaron Nola's a bum. Some people really ride Aaron Nola. I think Aaron Nola is a much better pitcher than people give credit for. He's only the number 3 option because they were trying to break up the left-righty situation with Luzardo there on the team now, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with however you want to put people up and down, first, second, fourth, fifth starter. I mean, sometimes the 4th and 5th guys can be interchangeable. I mean, with Taijuan Walker, currently on the 5-man rotation, he's always going to be number 5. He should be number 55. I don't want to see him. It is the Nats, Mooms. It is the Nats. But you're not going to, listen, series wins are not easy to come by. And we saw them get a lot of them, stack them up come April, May, June of last year. April, May, June. But then after that, you'd be lucky just get a win. So you won the series. Series sweeps don't come often. But I'm not freaking out. But yes, I can see why people would be upset with the current look of today's game. You had an offense that went cold after an offense was hot, scoring as many runs as they did in the last 2 games, and then they're cold as ice. Called a getaway game. I heard them use that a lot on the broadcast. I don't like that. I mean, getaway game, especially when you're what's it called? You're 2-3 hours away from your home. So I don't really feel like that's a getaway. Maybe more for the Nats than it is for the Fightins. But it's just the old things creeped up today. Things got cold. Had some bit hard hits, don't get me wrong. And they got some hits and got on base. You got let's look at this. Let's break it down. Kyle Schwarber had a single, a walk, and then and then he had a strikeout at the end. Great timing. Alec Boehm, not the greatest night for him. He's up until the last couple days. He was doing real well, but he had no hits. He had a double play. The last guy to get out, not great. Bryce Harper, he had a single, but he struck out today as well. Nick Castellanos had a single and a walk. Bryson Stott, 0 for 3 with a strike, 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Mundo Sosa, he had 2 singles and stretched that one out, but also had 2 strikeouts. Brandon Marsh, not terrible day. Guys at the bottom of the order. I mean, the bottom order is continuing kind of doing what they're supposed to, because Mundo Sosa, like I said, he was 2 for 4. He was able to stretch that one into a double because of the bobbling of the right fielder. Brandon Marsh, just did what he was supposed to. He was, 1 for 2 with a single and 2 walks. That's what you want. That's what the bottom order guys like that should be doing. I'm not looking for it's great to see those home runs from Stott and him and Mundo and all that stuff, but I just want to see these guys get on base. I would like to see extra base hits, sure. But get these guys on base and get them moving around. Johan Rojas, he, up until that time, and they pulled him because Cody Clemens came in for the last at bat, worked out a walk. I really like Cody Clemens. I would love to see him get more time. Now, granted, if he got more time, would it change? But he does seem to rise to the occasion. Coming off the bench is a mentality thing. Like, you have to be ready to go at any moment's notice, and you're not getting him as seeing the pitcher as much as the other guys are. Maybe you're watching them and talking to them as they're coming back in the dugout, but you're not seeing it. So there's that. But Johan Rojas, again, first hit of the game, he had a hit of the game single, grounded out, but then he flew out to left field, but he flew out on the first. He just swung again, like wild swings. He needs these little tiny, small, compact swings. Just get it between the second and shortstop or whatever, and just use your legs, man. You don't have to kill the ball. You don't have to look at a pitch or two. Go right ahead. Work the pitch count. That's what you do when you're not Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber. You work the pitcher. That is your job. At the very least, you're working the pitcher. So when it comes up to the next guy or two, they would either pull them, get into their bullpen. That's bullpen from the small sample size we've seen so far is atrocious. I mean, ours isn't great so far, but theirs is like 15 earned runs already. In 2 games. The 2 games, 15 earned runs. They were hoping their best not to get to that. The bullpen as best as they could, and we just allowed it when you hit stupid little things like that. Let's see what Pat's saying. Nola is mid-season form already. The emotional roller coaster is in full effect. Yeah, okay. Again, he's in Nola form. I mean, Nola is known for this. This has kind of been his MO for a lot of his career. He, in games, a lot of games, not every game, but in a bunch of games, he has a breakdown inning. Unfortunately, he had a breakdown inning. He bounced back the next inning, but then he had another breakdown inning. But also, he's getting no run support, too. So it's kind of like the whole team didn't play well today. Like I said, a lot of close calls. I mean, Alec Boehm, he was probably give him an extra 50 feet to work with. He could have 2 home runs today. But, if in butts, candies and nuts, man. That's what it is. But, like, the team was close, but no cigar at the plate. They were able to get some hits, but they weren't to string enough together to get across the plate, giving him no run support on top of it. So I'm not saying it's the batter's fault for Nola, but it doesn't help. So Nola had 2 bad innings, 2 bad pitches that cost them dearly, 5 runs. But we've seen this team go down 5 runs and able to battle back. But it's just the inconsistency of the bat and the pitcher at the same time. And, again, 3rd game of the season. They're 2-1 on the season. Coming home to go against the Rockies. Okay, so that's what this team wants. I don't expect to win the series. If you asked me to put all my money I had on today's game, it would be a hard call. I could definitely swing either way with the Phillies or the Nats, and the party would be like, the way the Phillies have been playing and how hot the bats are. And I mean, Parker, the last time they saw him in August, not last time, but in August of last year, I think it was when Weston Wilson hit for the cycle. I mean, he only went 3 innings and let 9 earned runs. So here's the guy who tends to struggle. Today, Parker looked like an all-star pitcher, and that's because the Phillies allowed it. It's a problem. I mean, again, I'm not going to get emotional about the situation, but I can see where people are upset with this game. I would not be happy with this game. I am not happy with this game, I'm saying. I'm also not going to let it like ruin my day and my week coming up. I'm going to look past it and keep going and see if they can bounce back and go take. You won the series, okay, and that's the goal. Win series. Not, sweep series are pluses. Win series is the goal, and they did that. So mission accomplished, but just it would have been sweeter with the sweep, breaking out the brooms. I have my little broom right here. I was going to break out and put it out there, but today wasn't the day. It wasn't a day. It's just we saw a lot of bad habits creep up. No consistency is the bane of this team. Yeah, I mean that's what we talk about, Nooms. That's been their biggest bane of their existence since 2022. Like guys get cold at the same time, guys get hot at the same time. But like one good hitter today, like on the top of the lineup, anybody like Schwarber, Harper, Bohm, or Nick Castellanos could have made a world of a difference. The bottom of the lineup, for the most part, was doing what they were supposed to do. I mean, again, Harper had a hit, Castellanos had a hit and a walk, so did Schwarber. Bohm was, a big offer for today. So it wasn't terrible, but it was just stringing them together at the right time. That was the problem. That's the inconsistency. On top of it, Aaron Nola had not a great outing. I'm not going to get upset. We'll see how the next outing goes. I think Aaron Nola gets ragged on a lot unnecessarily. But these are the moments why he does, and I can see why people get annoyed with it. Is there any reason to worry about Trey Turner? He said his back injury is due to his hip, or I guess that's what's bothering him. He said something along the lines of his hips were bothering him kind of towards the end of spring training and kind of developed into back spasm. So it only really bothers him not when he's playing as much as when he's not, when he's resting, maybe in between innings, or he's on the bench and he's not playing, or like, if they're platooning or not, but he's not platooning, but he's just not playing as much in the field. So I guess they're just being cautious. It's the beginning of the season. There's no reason to keep pushing him out there just this moment. If it's just simple little back spasms, let him rest until they get back up to Philly. They maybe they see if he's ready to go for tomorrow. If not, maybe it'll be, with the day off after, they'll be ready to go by Wednesday. I don't know. We'll find out. But am I worried? Back spasms is that very vague thing. Normally, back spasms are nothing to worry about. Little treatment, little heat, little muscle relaxants, some little rest, maybe some tiny injections. If it's bad enough, and they can bounce back from it. But they also can be nagging, lingering injuries, like just little things that creep up. And you can play through back spasms, but can it affect your game? Can it affect his defense, which we know can very much happen with Trey Turner, but can affect the type of swing you have. I mean, him and Harper have that kind of violent swing. So when you getting back spasms it doesn't blow your mind in any which way. Is it something to worry about? I'm not worried right yet. If it continues to linger into days, into weeks, maybe. Yeah. I mean, and that kind of brings me to one of my points here is Mundo Sosa, like most underrated acquisition for the Phillies in probably the last 10 years. They picked him up from the Cardinals in 2022. And, just nice guy, a bench guy. He is a great bench piece. People talk about the bench being weak, but you can't say anything about Mundo Sosa in that which way. I mean, I don't hate our bench. I'm not in love with our bench. I mean, with Johan Rojas, kind of like he's more of a defensive bench guy. I think Cody Clemens is really kind of coming close to what Sosa is in my eyes, more in a consistency level. But Mundo Sosa, one of the most underrated acquisitions for the Philadelphia Phillies in my eyes. Just true facts. Like the guy, stepped up last year. He always just seems to step up. He can come and play for weeks on end, fill in for somebody, and then take time off until he's needed again. Doesn't complain. He's out there. He hustles. He play. I really like. I didn't see it coming. Didn't really know who Mundo Sosa was that much when he came in. But I mean, overall, you have to be happy. Like when you have to call the guy up to in any situation, you feel confident. And he seems like no moment's too big for him. Let's see. Also, what confused me was sitting Kepler and giving Marsh play left. Yeah, I don't know if Kepler was having any issues as well. Um, I'm just trying to see here. There was like talks that they were just giving him a day off, just to rest. But I don't know why he would need rest after 2 days. But I guess I don't know. They just thought that the matchup was better for Marsh. He's playing the matchup game, and it's confusing. I would like to see Max continue. I mean, a really good um, spring training. I was like 340 something or whatever in spring training. Guy coming bouncing back. He's a low risk, high reward kind of guy in the sense for what you're paying him. Coming off a injury year, so he has a little, maybe a little show me year season in front of him, which can be really useful if he has that kind of year. But I agree with you. If it's just they're just resting him for the sake of resting him and giving the batting matchup, I'd rather would have seen Max Kepler out there. But again, Brandon Marsh, he was 1 for 2. We only struck out the one time. After that, he singled in 2 walks. He got on base. That's what a guy with like him, with his speed at the bottom of the order, that's what you wanted him to do, to allow people to move him over into the lineup to go. But so I'm not upset with it. I would have liked to see Max Kepler, but at the same time, it wasn't like it was a bad move. I mean, unless Max Kepler was going to come out there and just bash home runs and and force the other players to hit. Even if he's hitting home runs, maybe it's a 3 to 5 game, 3 to 4 to 5 game. Maybe it's a little closer, but I don't know if it wins is the game. But he would have to be coming out there and just slugging home runs because the whole team wasn't playing well. So I don't know, Max Kepler, one big move or another would make a difference. I guess we'll be seeing Schwarber leading off until Turner comes back. Once again, I'm assuming nobody will be protecting Harper. Well, I mean, Alec Boehm has been hitting really well, and having Alec Boehm hitting second is, I like it. And if Trey Turner was still in the lineup, just wasn't leading off, he'd probably be number 2, Harper number 3, and Boehm would probably be number 4, pushing Nick Castellanos to 5, Stott to 6, and so on and so forth. So I'm not against Alec Boehm being the guy protecting Harper, because when he hits well. And guys behind him like Nick Castellanos can eat. They can eat because they're not going to want to throw to Harper. They're going to try to throw to either guys in front of him or behind him. He's earned that in his career, but it is what it is. Again, that Schwarber leading off, not leading off, don't mean squat diddly to me in this game. The whole team just came close to being a home run latent game, but this isn't horseshoes, or hand grenades. So they were trying to whale the ball. They were trying to open the game up with one fell swoop, and we've seen this blow up in their face. Now, it's not as big as a deal when you're in a third game of 162 games against the Nationals when you already won the series, but it's just, what scares you is this going to happen tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after and the day after. These were the bad habits that we saw that cost them in the postseason in 2023 and then last year in 2024. So I'm expecting to see these bad habits throughout the season, but minimizing them. I mean, these are creatures of habit, or athletes, habits and superstitious, man. So people are gonna fall into it sometimes, and sometimes when you're when the team you let up the 3-run home run, you're like, oh, and it's about halfway through the game at that point. So they're probably like, oh, we gotta do something. We gotta help our guy out. So let me scorch a home run and then rejuvenate the team, which it can. Don't get me wrong. And if it happens, and you look like a genius, but there's a sweet science, baseball science to playing small ball that can be even more debilitating. Sometimes death by 1,000 cuts can be just even more painful. And they got to show teams that they can do it, because what would you do? I mean, just no offense, like I would do the same thing the Diamondbacks did in 2023, in which we've seen other teams do to them at times. Stop throwing them balls that they can hit out of the park, and let them keep doing and keep bludgeoning themselves. I mean, but in the same foul swoop, if they get what they want, then you're going to pay dearly. So it's not easy as it's said than done, because then everybody would do it and this team would be terrible. But at the same time, there is a thing to small ball, and it's like, all right, well, we can't beat them with the long ball. We'll just keep them to the small ball and beat them there. Don't let them bludgeon us. We'll just, we'll minimize the pain. Well, if you don't think that's a problem, that's what you're going to do. But if you just say, guys, listen, it's kind of like the Eagles and the tush push, man. Like, just keep doing little things that get you big rewards. And if this team just came out and just kept dinking and dunking, singles and doubles, moving guys, stealing bases, just baseball type of manufacturing runs, that would be amazing. That's what you want. But this wasn't, there wasn't the day for this. While Turner is out, I'd rather Remuto or Castellanos bat second and Bohm fourth. Remuto, of course, wasn't going to take so with Marchand, so that pushed him down. I don't know about Castellanos at second. I mean, I don't know if you're just trying to. It's a lefty righty. Alec Bohm he was more consistent hitter right as of this point. But then again, he was on base percentage isn't a giant problem for Nick Castellanos at this point. I mean, he's got a 684 on base percentage. Bohm is a 646. It's just it is what it is. I mean, Kyle Schwarber has right now is a 130, a 1313 on base percentage. So it's certain guys are just getting on base. I mean, Sosa is a 1.18. And right now, Schwarber has the best OPS. So you move things around for what they are. And listen, I talked about this. My philosophy for this year, guys, wasn't like, it's kind of like with the Eagles, like I said last year, like, they brought in Saquon. He, of course, was a big acquisition, but this year I was same feeling, like, you didn't need another big bat. We didn't need a Juan Soto. I like getting some smaller pieces in, like a Max Kepler. I would have liked to see maybe something a little bit, not bigger, but, adding a little more depth to the bullpen. Ultimately, and the bullpen could still be really good, but right now they're doing okay, mediocre. But when they play better teams like the Dodgers, which is coming up next week, and the Dodgers right now are 5-0, I believe, because they had started it early in Japan. So it's they're going to be a really good team. I mean, it's going to. At this point, I got the Dodgers winning best record in baseball before the season even started. I mean, they have the ability to do so. They have the players. It's just the older guys, so they might come out hot and cool off lower. I mean, we talk about the Phillies aging out. I mean, look at the age of all the Dodgers. I mean, some great players, don't get me wrong. Mookie Betts, he's like 30-something years old, like mid to almost mid-30s. There's just a lot of pieces that are aging for the Dodgers too. So, again, you can't judge the season by the first 3 games. But again, it's a lot of the old stuff creeping in that makes these losses hard to swallow. If they just came up short and they were running across and maybe the bullpen wasn't doing great, you wouldn't be as upset. You'd be a little annoyed and you'd be like, oh, we got to get some bullpen pieces in here. But, it's just going as cold as this team went. It just had a lot of reminiscence of the bad problems that this team had in the last couple of years. So like I said, let's go through the pitching real quick. Aaron Nola, just a game you hopefully you can just move on from. Like, this is like time to move on type of game for Aaron Nola. 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 5 runs all earned, 8 strikeouts and 2 home runs, 2 costly home runs. That's right there. Your 5 runs are on those 2 home runs. And now he has an 8.44 ERA in the end. Again, 1 game, but wow, a good game. But after that, the earned runs were done. I mean, there's no more runs earned for the team. The bullpen did what they were supposed to. Jose Ruiz came in, finished up the inning for Aaron Nola, only left the 1 hit, but 2 strikeouts. Matt Strahm came in, 1 hit, but a strikeout. Banks came in for his inning with 1 hit, and that was it. So the bullpen did what they were supposed to this time. But the bats and the starting pitching, not so much. Parker, who's had an up and down career, but you look, maybe the Phillies made him look really good today. 6 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and then the bullpen did what they were supposed to for the most part. I mean, probably a little nerve-wracking for Nats fans, but which I think makes it even worse when he went to the bullpen. They couldn't really scratch anything together. I think they were just assuming that they would beat it. Ferrer went 2/3 inning and finished it up for that 7th inning for Parker. Lopez came in through an inning, blanked the Phillies on that one. Lord came in, allowed 1 hit, 1 run, of course the earned run and the walk. And then Finnegan, after that all happened, they pulled Finnegan in to close it out. And he, with 1 strikeout and the rest of the work, he was able to close it out. Phillies were, in 9 innings, 8 hits, 1 run earned with 4 walks and 6 strikeouts. Phillies pitching did well with the strikeouts and all that, even with Aaron Nola, but those 5 earned runs off the 2 home runs really what killed you. 9 in 8 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs. 5 runs, all earned, 11 strikeouts, and of course those 2 homers. That's what kills you. Nola pitched to what he is and always was, a 3. Again, I have to disagree with that. I think Aaron Nola gets, if you really want to do like a poll of unreasonably hated upon Phillies athletes or Philadelphia athletes, I think Aaron Nola would be top 5 easily. Like guys who get a lot of heat but played really well. I mean, I almost feel like he's almost Cole Hamels-esque when people used to complain about Cole. I mean, in 2009 and 10 and 11, like Cole had the same thing. Like he would have games and he would be really well, but he'd have an inning or two where he would break down. And people, right now we all love Cole because, of course, they got over the hump. We win a World Series this year. Maybe that changes. And, I guess there's high expectations, but for this team going into 2025, and we, as Philly fans, we hang on by every pitch and every bat, as if most fans do in the postseason. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of swallow this muck down. You're still 2-1. You know what I mean? You're still only 3 games into 162 games. So I'm not going to get upset. By the time Aaron Nola pitches again, a week from now, it may be a completely different conversation. He might go out there and just mow down guys in 7 innings, no earned runs or something like that, and 20 strikeouts, and everybody will forget about today. So that's what they have to do. They have to forget about today, but they have to look at it. Like, one thing that they, going into this game, they were interviewing Bryson Stott the other day after, the Phillies' big, explosive offensive onslaught they had, and Bryson Stott part of it with his nice 2-run jack. But, no water poured on him, and they asked him about it, and Bryson said, we're mature, pretty much I'm paraphrasing. There's no time for that. We're matured past that now. That's great, grand, and wonderful, but now it's all business, which this, to me, was one of the most insightful things I heard from the Phillies in a while. So hopefully that means they take a game like today and they can put it away, but they can learn from it. That's what I need to see from the Fightins, is learn from today and to minimize these moments. That's how baseball is. You got to minimize the mistakes. I mean, you play in a game that 30% is a hell of a career or a hell of a year. 30% of getting on base 30% of the time, hitting the ball 30% of the time. That's baseball, and that's the way it is. But what right now I can't freak out based on 3 games. But just today was a reminder of some of the problems we had in the past. That's what made, I think, today a little sting a little bit more. And as I think, it was Noom said it earlier, it's the damned Nats. It's the damned Nats. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Nolan needs to forget about today. No, there's a difference between forgetting and I'm okay with people flushing the toilet and moving moving past a bad day, because that's what you want. In sports, you're supposed to have a very short memory and not listen to sports radio on the way back and all that. And like, listen, just clear your mind. But go back and look at the tape. Where did I go wrong? What happened? What was my mindset when I nicked the toe of a player and it kind of unraveled from there? Why did I let that happen? Was it my mind? Then I start missing spots. I mean, he was not missing spots. Is so much backspin on the ball, or spin on the ball, that was causing people just to swing at anything coming down towards them within reasonable distance, and they were just hitting it. And it's like, I don't know if he got off of that, or when he got the guy on base, he just got nervous. Again, it could be the mentality a little bit of him. Again, I really like Aaron Nola. I think Aaron Nola gets not enough love for who he is and the kind of player he is. I mean, I remember before they signed the big contract, people were like, "Oh, good, he's gone," or we're going to get rid of him. And then they all same people clamored to have him back, because he is still one of the top players in baseball. I mean, pitchers in baseball. They did a stat today. He's had 269 starts since his debut in 2015. And he's that's the second most of any active players except for Patrick Corbin. And he's the only guy to do it with one team throughout the whole time. So you got to give the guy consistency. He's usually available. Injuries are very few and far between with him. But just he has these moments. But any pitcher does. I mean, Zach Wheeler has these games. I mean, if you go back to last year, maybe the Cy Young award is different if he doesn't have that Chicago game. Was it Chicago? I think he kind of just had a bad game. He didn't go very far. Went with 3 innings and let up 5 runs or whatever it was. He had 1 or 2 games that could have been the difference between him getting a Cy Young and not getting a Cy Young. Those things happen. You know what I mean? And you have to learn from them. You got to learn and then put it aside. Learn, put it aside, man, because you have to just get better from it. So I think that's where part of the philosophy change comes in. Don't just forget about it like it never happened. Use it, but don't let it eat away at you. And that's where that's why it's a philosophy thing versus a skill situation. The skill's there. The ability's there. The mentality is the difference here. So like that's what I'm looking at here. And I am going to bring you today, because Matty B asked me to, and I will. We're going to do a little down on the farm, which we'll hit up in a moment. But real quick, let's jump into the Broad Street bottom line. All right, guys, Broad Street bottom line. Bottom line is this sucked. Bottom line is we can, they're still won the series. Bottom line is they're coming home. Don't look past the fact that we saw a lot of the same mistakes this team made over the years that cost us in the playoffs, cost us ability to be walking down Broad Street wearing red. But hopefully they learn from it. Like I said, it's all about learning from it. Like that's the thing I feel like they missed out on a little bit over these years. They missed out on learning from their problems. They missed out on, maturity from it. And like I said, the little thing from Bryson Stott during the interview actually was really reassuring to me. Like that's where my bottom line is. If you want to take any pros or cons out of these type of things, let's see if they can come back. In the next 3 or 4 games, I'm going to come back next on Friday and help out again, and we'll be talking then. If we see lack of offense, or by that time we'll be starting against the Dodgers, and they're just beating up on us, it's a whole different ball game. We'll find out. Someone's figured out how to be the second best starter in the game way too much for a 1 or a 2. Somehow figures out how to be the second best starter in the game way too much for a 1 or a 2. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying about that. If you want to break that down for me a little bit more, but my bottom line is game 3. Bottom line is it sucked. Just a really slow. This is the kind of Phillies Sunday game that you fall asleep on the couch for, or you listen to on the radio while you're getting yard work done or whatever it is. But again, you got to scrap it, learn from it, move on. Like that's my bottom line. let's take a quick trip around the bases. All right, going around the bases right now, still active. Bottom of the eighth, Cleveland Indians Cleveland Guardians. Sorry, Cleveland Guardians are up 6-1 on Kansas City. Right now, you're in the bottom of the seventh. They're in a delay, but the Angels and White Sox are tied 2-2 in the bottom of the seventh. Like I said, in a delay. Top of the sixth, the Cardinals are up 8-2 on Minnesota. Top of the fourth, Athletics are up 1-0 on Seattle. Mid third right now, Chicago Cubs are up 1-0 on Arizona. Tonight, Atlanta takes on San Diego at 7:10 on ESPN. And for your final scores today, of course, as we know, Washington beat the Phillies 5-1. The Yankees bludgeoned Milwaukee 12-3. Toronto beat Baltimore 3-1. The Giants beat up Cincinnati 6-3. And Colorado lost to Tampa Bay, who Colorado's coming here tomorrow. So they are going to be on the road again against us in Philly. They are 1-2 now after today's loss to Tampa Bay 6-4. Miami beat Pittsburgh 3-2. They are 3-1 right now. Take that for what it's worth. Again, first couple of weeks of baseball just means nothing. We all know how that can change. I mean, Pittsburgh usually comes out great in the first few months, and then everybody thinks it's a new hot team, and then things go bad. And then, of course, the Rangers beat the Red Sox 3-2. And that is your trip around the bases and your current and finals for today on the MLB scores right here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. If you guys look on the bottom here, scrolling the whole time, It's a Wrap has social media all over TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, YouTube. But Facebook and YouTube, if you want to watch these live shows, are where it's at. So make sure you get a like on both those things and click on the little bell thing so you know when you're going to get another It's a Wrap program. And tonight, speaking of, tonight is, it's going to be all positive sunshine and rainbows with this man. Matty B will be coming with at 10 o'clock with the final word with Matty B, getting you the final word on the day and on the weekend in the first series of the Phillies with their win of the series, but losing today 5-1, 2-1. The Phillies are on the season. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say about me tonight about tonight's post game, but the final word will be back tonight. And don't forget the attacking third is starting back up here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Pat Bernard and Steve Fuentes bringing back your MLS Union Soccer conversation right here. And don't forget Wednesdays at 6. This is the wrong run, but it's going to be Wednesdays at 6, according to the guys. Pat Bernard, or maybe it's Sundays at 9. I don't know. They might have changed this. Don't ask me. Nobody told me. So I'm going to go out with the graphic says Sundays at 9 a.m. The wraparound with Pat Bernard, moving from Monday to Sunday. So here you go. Sundays at 9 a.m. Pat Bernard giving you the wraparound. And don't forget, speaking of Sundays, starting in May, PM in the AM returns. Pat and Mike giving you love. I'll be there to help produce a little bit. I'm trying to keep these two knuckleheads in check. So Pat and Mike return for PM in the AM on Sundays. So guys, let's do a little Down on the Farm. So Down on the Farm, brought to you by It's a Wrap Sports Network, brings you a taste of the week so far of the Phillies farm system. Right now, we're going to just talk about the Iron Pigs because they're the only ones who really started their season. The others start on Friday. The FCL Phillies start on May 3rd. So you're only get a couple games that the Iron Pigs have done so far. So right now, fielder of the week is Peyton Henry, catcher. So he had 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 home runs, and 3 RBIs, all in one game. So not bad for one game. So they're 2-0 so far. Overall, 2-0 on the season. And pitcher of the week is Seth Johnson in one game. 5-1 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 5 Ks, and 1 walk. So looking good so far for early onset of your down on the farm and your Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. So check them out. And I know I'm going to be getting out to the Iron Pigs and trying to hit up a couple of the minor league teams, taking my boys out because, always go to the Phillies games. And don't get me wrong, I have a great time. But sometimes it's good to see these minor league games, check them out, how the different atmosphere they can be. So I know I'll be checking out. So if I do any, I will shoot some pictures and stuff back to Maddie and have them posted up on the social media for you. But that right there is your down on the farm moment here. And that will be about it today. Fighting's Final will return. Monday is, of course, Maddie B. Wednesdays, Sal will be on the call. And then Thursday, Maddie B again. So you'll get Maddie, and Sal. I'm not going to say a Sal sandwich with Maddie bread, but that's what it looks like, guys. So there you go. I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Let me stretch my Phillies Fighting's Finals legs, and I will see you all next time.